Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible? Okay, fine. Let's start our today's session. So today will be the final revision for your mid-sem. Today's revision is going to from Unit 2. So Unit 2 consists of conditional statement, loops, and functions. So when we talk about a conditional statement, so for conditional statement, we are going to use if statement, if else ladder, and all. So how are you going to define a if statement in Python? You are going to use the keyword if. And if you have to specify the condition, then use a colon. So you're going to use a colon here for indentation mark. And then you can execute the whatever statement you want inside the if block. So something like this: if 5 is greater than 2, print yes. This is how you're going to define a if block in Python. So one thing you have to keep in your mind, you have to focus on the indentation, and you have to use the same indentation everywhere. Now we can come if you remember in the conditional operator, so we can combine the conditional, we can use a conditional operator with the if statement, if else statement and all. So one more thing, if you're going to have multiple if condition, like if you just say you're going to have one thing is that you can have a if ladder also, that is if inside if, like if 5 greater than 4, print a. And again if block 5 greater than 3, print b. Then again if 5 greater than 2, print c. Also you can have if inside if block. Now maybe what is going to happen, so if you want to write else if, like in the case of Java and C language, we were having else if else if statement. That means you're going, like if the first condition is false, then go for checking on the second condition. So for that we are going to use elif keyword. So you can see the syntax here. If condition, some statements will be there, elif condition statement 1 statement 2. So if this condition is going to be false, this condition is going to be checked here. Okay. So elif keyword is used to define the another condition. So if the first condition is false, go for a second condition. Now tell me one thing, what will be the difference between this and this? Like if I am using if, some condition is there, some statements here are here, then if condition 2, condition 1, statements are here. Anyone, can you find out difference between code 1 and code 2? What is the difference here? In code 1, I am saying if condition 1, do something. If condition 2, do something. In case 2, I am saying if condition 1, do something. If condition 2, do something. Can anyone find a difference here between these two? Alif is required space. Just don't go for a syntax now. Just go for a logical something. Haman, just try to find something logical here. Now, if I am writing, anyone else would like to give a try? Code 2 will print something. Okay. So let me give you a answer here. See, in this case, code 1, what's happening? If condition 1, so if the condition 1 is true, then we are going to execute these lines of code. And by default, if condition 2 is going to be checked. So in this case, code if condition 1 is going to be also checked, if condition 2 is also going to be checked. While in case of code 2, what is happening here? If condition 1, if something is there, something is going to be. So in code 2, what we are going to see, if condition 1, if this condition becomes false, then only this condition is going to be checked here. Here by default, all the condition is going to be checked. Even though condition 1 is going to false or true, nothing matters, both of them is going to be executed in this case. While in this case, code 2, this condition is going to be checked only and only if this condition becomes false. Am I clear to everyone? The main purpose of Elif is that having a multiple condition, applying the multiple condition, and it is going to be executed when one is going to be false. Am I clear to everyone? Hemant Kumar, is it clear to you? So you can see like it is same as else if, means we are writing else, then we are going to write some condition. So if the first condition is false, then only the second condition is going to be checked here. While in default, if I am writing if condition, then if condition, then all the if condition is going to be checked. Now also you can have an else statement. Okay. Now if you are having just two conditions are there, if and else, then you can use a else condition, else here. Instead of elif, what you can do, you can directly write the else condition. So you can say if some condition is there, execute statement 1, statement 2, else statement 1, statement 2. So what's happening here in this case? If this condition becomes false, then only this lines of code is going to be executed. By default, this line is going to be executed if this becomes false. In this case, if you see if condition statement 1, elif condition statement 1, else statement 2. So when will the else statement, this part of statement 2 is going to be executed? When first of all this condition becomes false. If condition statement this condition becomes false, then the control will go to elif here. Now then this condition is also false, then only the else statement is going to be executed. So for the else statement to be executed, each and every statement conditions defined before it is to be false. So if this condition and this condition becomes false, then only this block of else block of code is going to be executed. Now if you remember in case of I think Java, you are having exceptional block, try an exception. So you have one exception, right? By default one exception is going to be executed. In a similar fashion here also. So else statement is going to be executed when each and every condition above it is going to be false. Now, a most important thing you have to keep in your mind, like it may come in a 1 marks question, like can we have a if statement empty or not? If yes, how? Okay. So see, if you talk about class, if you talk about for loop, if you talk about functions and all, if you talk about the if condition, else condition, any condition, Python doesn't allow these statements to be empty. Python doesn't allow if block to be empty, elif block to be empty, else block to be empty, class to be empty, for loop to be empty, and all. So in that case, it is going to raise an error. If you want to keep by any reason, anyhow reason, so if you want to keep them empty, the Python will be raising an error. So to avoid this error, what you're going to do, you're going to use the pass keyword. The pass statement you are going to use to avoid this error. Now nested if, already told you about if inside if. You already know about the looping how the controls go from one condition to another. I don't think I need to explain this one. Now most important topic, if elif else later. Okay, that code which I just shown you. So what is if elif else later? We are going to have if statement, elif statement, and else statement in our code. Okay, this is only known as if elif else later. How the execution goes, it is going from top down approach. It will take top down approach. That means if statement has to be either for execution of else statement, first if statement is going to be checked, then elif, then else statement. Now what's happening here, if any one of the condition becomes true here, then later on the you can say the condition or statement which are later on, the rest of the statement is going to be bypassed. That means they are not going to be checked here. Now if none of the conditions is true, then the final else statement will be executed. So if somehow if you get the question like write a notes on if elif else later, define the if elif else later block, and give don't forget to give an example. You see, in case of programming, you should always give an example to elaborate your answer. So what it says, they say a equal to 5, b equal to 7, c equal to 2. If a is greater than c, if a is greater than c, what will be the output here? What will be the output here? A is equal to 5, b is equal to 7, c equal to 2. If a is greater than b, print a. If a is greater than c, print b, else print c. What will be the output here? Anyone? Guys, please respond to the question. What will be the output here? Will it be A, B, or C? I'm just printing the string. Kumar, not a number. I'm not printing the variable here. Just keep in the mind here. So you're saying B. Yeah, right. So what's happening here? First of all, this condition is going to be checked here. If this condition is false, see, if this condition becomes true, this all statement is going to be bypassed. We're not going to check this all condition, if or else part. We are going for a second condition to be checked only and only if the previous statement is false. So if A greater than B is false, then we are going for here. If A greater than C, since this condition is true, print B. So this whole statement is going to be bypassed now. So it is going to print B. So this is the flow of control, flow control of if else ladder. You can see we are going for the expression tree, or say if you are having like 10 test expression. So you're going to check the test expression 10 only if the all the first 9 expression is going to be false. Now shortened if, what is shortened if? So if you have only one statement to be executed, what you can do, you can write the print statement on the same line of code. So you can see here, if A less than B, colon, print A is smaller than B. So if you have a single line of statement to be executed, so what you can do, you can write the statement on the same line where you have defined the if block. Same way, shortened if else. It is same as ternary operator in C language or say C++. So again, if you have only one statement to be executed inside if else, if block also, and inside the else block also, what you can do, you can use shorthand if else. So print A if A greater than B, else print B. So here print A if A greater than B is this print A is going to be of block of if block, statement of if block. So this statement is going to be executed only if this condition is going to be true. Now else, then this statement is going to be printed when our condition becomes false. I think if else statement is clear to everyone. So they move forward to loops. Anyone, any doubt in if else block or conditional statement? Is the conditional statement clear to everyone? Okay, no issue. So let's go to a while loop. Now when you want to execute a block statement repeatedly, if you want to execute the same statements to be repeated, okay, until when the condition is satisfied. So we want to execute a block of codes again and again until when the condition becomes false. So when the condition becomes false, what we are going to do, we are going to execute the code in a similar fashion. So whatever the code is there after the loop, those code is going to be executed now. Now you can see while loop falls under the category of indefinite iteration. That means you can also run the while loop for infinite number of times. So how are you going to do? While condition and again colon here for indentation, and whatever the statement you are going to write. Just say if you are having I equal to 1, while I less than 10, print I. In case of while loop, what you have to keep in your mind, you will need to specify the modification here. You see, if I am not specifying the modification, this loop is going to run for infinite number of times. So you need to specify the modification in case of while loop. So this code block of code is going to run until when the condition becomes false. Now, if you want to access the element inside the list using a while loop, you already remember, you already know, indexing in list is going to start from 0. So what we are going to do, while I less than length of a. So whatever the length of this list is going to be, print a of I plus equal to 1. So it is going to print the element inside the list. Now two important things, break statement and continue statement. So what does the break statement does? It is going to break the loop. Okay. So even though the condition is true, if you want to come out of the loop, you are going to use break statement. So here you can see the example I equal to 1, while I less than equal to 15, I less than 15, print I, if I modulus 5 equal to 0, print divisible of 5, so we are stopping the loop, break. So as soon as the value of I becomes 5, that is 5 modulus 5 equal to 0, so this statement is going to be executed and break is going to be applied here. That means you are going to come out of the loop even though the condition is true. So you may get the questions in exam like what the difference between break statement and continue statement, or explain break and continue statement. And what did in the case of continue statement, it is used to stop the just the current iteration and continue with the next. So whatever the code is there, it is going to be skipped here, and we will going for the next iteration. So you can see I equal to 0, while I less than 15, I plus equal to 1. If I modulus 5 equal to 0, continue, print I. So you can see I'm just printing I, value of I, and we are applying I modulus 5 equal to 0, continue. So you can see as soon as the value of I becomes 5, after 4, I plus 1, I plus equal to 1, I modulus 5 equal to 0. That means this we are going to this block of code, then continue. So you can see print I, the value of I is not going to be printed here. So what's happening here in case of continue statement? We'll be skipping the remaining code and we'll move to a next iteration. Again, you have to keep in your mind, like when you're going to use continue statement, if you're not using the modification before the continuous block, the statement where the block of code where you're writing a continuous statement. So if you're not writing the condition beforehand, then again it will go into an infinite loop. Let me show you an example here. I'm writing the same code, but with a condition in the modification in the last line. So we are writing the modification part here. You can see it is going to be in infinite loop now. After one printing 1, 2, 3, 4, it is going to be in infinite loop. Why? Because after continue we know it is going to be execute the next iteration. So again the next iteration also the value 5 is 5 only, and it is going to repeat again and again. So when you are going to use continuous statement, use the modification before it. Either you can use it here, or you can use out before the if condition here. So let's say I equal to 1, I plus equal to 1. I am also using I plus equal to 1 inside this if condition, and I am using a similar fashion, the similar thing which we have done in the previous case here. You can see now it's not going to run in a infinite loop. So this is how the execution of continuous statements work. Now for loop. So for loop is mainly used to iterate over the sequence. Sequence means that can be either a string, list, tuple, dictionary, or you can use a range keyword. So range function. So for loop is used for iterating over the sequence. It's a sequence can be either a string, even if you remember it can be array, dictionary, list, or tuple. So you can see fruits equal to apple, banana, mango, lychee. For x in fruits, it is going to print x. That means print the fruits. For tuple also you can print in a similar fashion. Even for a string, if you are having some string, you can use the same thing here. So if you remember the array module, sorry, it is to be a list of argument. You can see in the case of array also we can access it using a for loop. So again this is also a sequence of element. Now again we can combine the break statement and continue statement with the for loop also. So I'm not going to discuss the continue and break statement once again. Now one of the most important function in Python is range function. It is going to return the sequence of numbers starting from 0 and at 1 less than a specified number. If I say range 5, that means it is going to the sequence is going to be from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, n minus 1. For I in range 5, print I. It's going to return the sequence of number from 0 to n minus 1. That means increment is going to be of 1. Now what we can do, we can also specify the range like this. Now instead of starting from 0, I want the loops to start from 2 and go till just say 10. So again we can specify the starting index also, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So again it will go for the last minus 1. So since we have specified 10, that means it is going to run for 9. Okay. Now we can also specify the increment here. So in this case, if you see, in this case and in previous example, the increment is going to be by default 1. Now if you want to specify some increment, you need to pass a third argument. You can see 0, then plus 2, 2, then 2 plus 2, 4, 4 plus 2, 6, 6 plus 2, 8, 8 plus 2, 10. So you can specify the increment also here, whatever the increment you want. Anyone, what will be the output here? For I in range of 5, print I plus equal to 2. What will the values printed here? Anyone? Please answer the question here. For I in range of 5, print I plus equal to 2. Will this increment operator works or not? Will this increment is going to work or not? Yes or no? Just tell me yes or no. Will this I plus equal to 2 is going to work or not? Please someone respond, please. At least give me a wrong answer also, if you're not giving me the correct answer. Anyone? Chintan, Hemant, Kumar, Monica says 7. Okay, fine. Anyone else? Guys, just tell me yes or no. Will this increment is going to work inside a for loop or not? Kumar, it is not going to work inside the for loop. See, whenever you are going to use the range function, whenever you are going to use a range function, see, these types of question may come in a 2 marks questions. Frankly, I'm speaking. These are the confusing statements are here. So it is not going to work here. When it see, when I say for I in range, now I is associated to this function, range function. Now the value of I is going to run from 0 to 5 only. 5 minus 1 is 0 to 4. So even if I am doing I plus equal to 2, no increment is going to work. So if I want to increment my for loop by 2, I need to pass an argument here. For I in range. Now to pass an argument, just remember one thing. 5, comma 2. Sorry. For I in range 0, comma 5, comma 2. Print I. This is how the increment is going to work. You need to specify an increment here only in the range function. You can't specify the increment operator or say modification inside the for loop. You need to specify the increment or say modification inside the range function. Now one more thing, you can have a else statement outside the for loop also and inside the outside the while loop also. So what it says, if your for loop becomes false or while loop becomes false, this statement is going to be executed here. So you can see for I in range 3, 25, 3 print I, else print I is greater than 24. So when this block of code is going to be false, when this condition is going to be false, this else part is going to be executed. So we can also have else statement outside the for loop or while loop. So whenever the while loop condition becomes false or when the for loop condition becomes false, this else block is going to be executed now. Now we can have the similar the break statement, continuous statement inside the for loop also. Again, we can't keep the for loop empty, so you can use a pass keyword. Now function. Again, function is also a block of code which gets executed only when it is called. So whenever you're going to call a function, this block of code is going to be executed. And also we can pass some data inside a function. Those data are going to be known as parameters. Now function, what the function can do, function can either return something as a result or they can also return nothing. So which keyword you are going to use to define a function? You are going to use def keyword, def. Def function name, again you need to use the parenthesis, colon, and whatever statement you want to be executed here. This is the way of creating a function in Python. And how you're going to call the function? But just using the writing the function name with a parenthesis. So if I want to call this function, this is my function and parenthesis. Now that means I am going to call my function. Now argument. Argument means we can pass some values. So if you want to pass some information, you can also pass some information to a function. So you have to keep in your mind while defining the function, you have to specify the variables also. At least you have to write the variables here. You see how you're going to create a function here. If I want to call the function a, just a and parenthesis. That's it. If I am passing some values here, it will generate an error. So what we can do while defining a function only, we will take a variable here. Let's say I. Print I. Now A, now if I am not passing any argument while function calling, again now also it is going to generate an error. What you have to do, you have to pass an argument here. This is how the function is going to work in Python. Now when you talk about a function, so we can have we can pass some information to a function. Okay, now while passing the information, those are known as argument. Now how many argument has to be passed? So see, we can pass any number of argument to our function, but the condition is that we can have any number of function in the any number of argument in the function definition part, but the condition is that we need to pass those many arguments while function call. So just say if I am defining the function a with an argument I comma j comma p l m n o p q, so you can see I can have any number of arguments here. I can define any number of arguments here, but you need to pass those many values here also. If you're forgetting to pass a like if you're even forgetting to pass single value, it is going to raise an error. So you can see 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. So I need to pass 9 values here. So if by mistake I forget to pass one value here, let me show you. If I forget to pass one value here, it is going to raise an error. And if I pass extra one values here, so again it is going to raise an error. So keep in your mind while you while defining the function, that if you're having any like if you're having a 5 number of argument in function definition, so 5 values has to be passed while function calling. Now that's very much impossible, right? For that only we are going to have keyword argument. Sorry, we are going to have arbitrary argument. What is the arbitrary argument says? It says while in a function definition, what we can do, define a, and inside a parenthesis we can write like asterisk I. Now we can pass any number of argument here. Now what's the benefit of this? We don't know the user how many argument the user is going to pass. Now this asterisk is going to take care of each and everything. Let me show you a 1 comma 2, sorry it will be I here for it will be j here, since we are looking for j. See, when we talk about the arbitrary argument, this value is going to be passed as a tuple. Okay, so like while in a function call we can pass one values, also we can pass two values, we may pass three values, may pass four values also. So now you can pass any number of values now in a function call. For that you need to specify asterisk sign before the variable. So this is known as arbitrary argument. Now when we talk about the Python function, what's happening here, the order in the way you are passing a data is going to matter. So if I say if, just say define a comma b, print a comma b. Say we are having variable a comma b equal to 5 comma 7. F of a comma b is going to be 5 or 5 comma 5 and 7. When I pass b comma a, it is going to be 7 comma 5. So in a way, order in which you are passing the value, it is going to be follow the same order. So if you are defining, well, in the defining function, it is a comma b, that is the first argument. Well, if you are going to pass while function calling, it is going to be passed to the first variable here. So for that purpose only, we are going to use keyword argument. Keyword argument means we are going to pass key and value here. Now instead of doing that, what you can do, f of a equal to 5, a equal to 5, b equal to 7. F of b equal to 5, so b equal to 7, comma a equal to 5. Even the order is different here, the value of a is going to be 5 here. So this is known as keyword argument. Now again, we don't know how many keyword argument may be there, so we can use a double asterisk sign here. That is known as arbitrary keyword argument. And what the function is going to receive? The function is going to receive the dictionary data type, because we are passing a key value pair. This is only known as arbitrary keyword argument. Another one is default parameter. Default parameter is that even if you forget to pass a value, this particular value is going to be executed. Just say define ABC a equal to square, print a. Now if I forget to pass an argument, it is not going to raise an error. The default argument is going to be printed here or used here. Or else what you can do, I can also pass some values. When you pass the values, that value is going to be considered. If you forget to pass a value, the default parameter value is going to be considered here. From the return statement, now you can have a return statement inside the icon block of your definition block. Just say define ABC and return n into 5. Now instead of printing a value here, I am just returning the value. Now see ABC of 5, 25, ABC of 2. So it is taking the value, multiplying it 2 into 5 and returning the value. So this is only known as return statement. Now again, you can't have a pass state function empty. So if you want, if you, by any reason you want to have the function empty, you can use a pass statement. Recursive function, the function calling itself is known as recursive function. The portion is coming till this portion only, till the recursive function. So is everything clear to everyone about the unit 2? That is conditional statement, looping statement, and function. Anyone, any doubt in this case? Anyone, any doubt in unit 2? or is it clear to everyone? So this is it. This is it for your unit 1 and unit 2 for your midsem. I hope that each and every topic is clear to everyone, and all the best for your midsem. So if there is a classes from the next week during the midsem, we will be continuing with our unit 4, it is class and object. Let me take your attendance. So if you are having any doubt in any topic, find something difficult, you can contact me on my WhatsApp number or on my email ID. I will try to solve your doubt. Please check your name before leaving the class, and all the best everyone for the midsem. Thank you everyone.